So let's talk about how you are going to edit your family portrait. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is crop it to uh, any to how you would like it to look. So if there are any parts that you want to get rid of, now would be the time to do that. I'm going to recommend that you either crop to your original ratio or to an 8 by 10. So the second thing that you're going to do is press Command J to make a separate layer. I'm going to title this one Retouching. And then you're going to take a look at your image and see if there is anything that you think you need to get rid of. So in my instances, I have some of these spots that I would want to remove before moving on. And you may not have anything. You may need to fill in a corner with maybe the clone stamp tool or using Content Aware. And once you're happy with what you have, you're going to make another layer. I'm going to title this one Dodge and Burn, because maybe you have areas in your photograph that you might want to be a little bit brighter or a little bit darker. So our tools here are Dodge and Burn. Burn makes things darker. Notice you have a range up here at the top where you have a midtones, shadows, and highlights. I recommend starting with midtones unless you know that you need the highlights to be a little bit darker. Always use a fuzzy brush so it looks as natural as possible. And I'm going to set my brush about 250, and on the left hand side here I just think is a little bit too bright, so I'm just going to run my cursor over it. You can also run it over any parts like shadows that you think should be a little bit darker. You can also pick up the highlights and run it over things you think should be a little bit darker as well, or brighter depending on what your photograph looks like. We'll make another duplicate layer, and this one we're going to rename Sharpen. This is something that all of you should do to your photographs. Every one of your photographs, professionals do it, so we should be doing it to our photographs as well to make it look a little bit crisper. So we're going to go to Filter, Sharpen, go down to Unsharp Mask. Now you want to set your radius to be about 1. You wouldn't want to go any higher than 3. And you want to adjust your amount just until things seem to look a little bit crisper, and you can check by pressing your preview button on and off. What you don't want to happen is you don't want it to look way too cartoony or too grainy. And your radius, if you go too high, starts to give you this halo effect, which is not something that you're looking for in terms of realism. So once you find something that looks good to you, details just a little bit crisper, you're going to click OK. Let's make another layer, and this time you're going to make a vignette on this photograph. So we go to Filter, we go down to Lens Correction. Now remember, a vignette is simply the darkening of the corners of the photograph. We're going to go to Custom and increase our vignette to darken the corners. You can see the difference by pressing the preview button. Basically, it will tie your image all together, so it really will bring your attention to your composition. Click OK once we're happy. And from here, what you're going to want to do is take a look at your adjustment palette. If you need to fix any contrast issues, use levels. If you need to fix any white balance issues, you're going to use your color balance adjustment layer. If you want to make it black and white, you may absolutely do that. Just use your adjustment layer, and then you can even change the opacity so that it is a tinted photograph rather than a full color photograph. You can also decide that you want to up the colors a little bit. So I would recommend using this Vibrance adjustment layer. Now saturation is going to make it way too bright and tacky, which is not something that you want. What you want is to have subtle color enhancement. So we can use Vibrance, which will just make it a little bit more vibrant, make it a little bit brighter, make it a little bit stronger in color, but not that tacky color that saturation will give you. So from here you're going to want to do 2 last things. First thing is we're going to add a border, so we're going to go to Image, Canvas Size. And I'm going to want you to check the relative box and add 0.1. This is going to depend on your photograph. If you took it with an SLR, you're going to have to make your border size a little bit bigger, maybe even up to a 0.4, so it might be a trial and error. You're then going to make sure that your canvas extension color is black, and you're going to click OK. Notice it gives you a nice little border around the edge. It ties your image together. These are all your finishing touches. Last but not least, hit a new layer, pick up your signature from your brush menu, and once you add your signature, you are ready to go. Smaller, so it's not gigantic. save it into the VH Projects folder, and you are complete. Also save a copy into your folder. You can fill out the rubric, and we will be writing your artist statement next week.